call the meeting to order. Item 1 is roll call. We are all present except for Mike Stuba, who is absent this evening. The invocation this evening will be given by Josh Hayes, minister at the North Garland Church of Christ. Josh, and the flag salute. Mark, we're going to put you to work. Invocation, please.
Let's pray. Father, we praise you for who you are. We praise you for the work that you do amongst us. Father, I pray that you will bless our community and our leadership. Father, I pray that you will give us your wisdom for the business that needs to be conducted. Father, I pray that you would give our community a spirit of kindness and compassion, of mercy and generosity. Father, we praise you for the way that Christ works in our life. In your name I pray. Amen.
Thank you, Josh.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Chief. Item number 4, consider approval of minutes of the regular session of August 20, 2013.
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes.
Motion by Ron,
I'll second
second by Rodney. Please cast your vote. Motion carries 6-0. Item 5, awards, presentations, and organizational business. Item 5.1, present the pet available for adoption at the city animal shelter. You're on.
Well, tonight we have a Chihuahua. She's about 2 years old. She's really friendly and she needs a home. Her name's Minnie. We named her Minnie not because of her size, because she's one of many. Needs a home. And you can find her and her friends out at the city animal shelter. And we're in the 1200 block of South 10th. Or you can go on Facebook, find the other animals to be adopted under Adopt a Pet. Just wants a home, good loving home. Thank you.
Thank you. What was her name?
Minnie.
Under item 6, hearings, there are none. Item 7, community development. Item 7.1, consider approval of the final plat for Heartstone Farms, Addition Block 2. Chris?
This is right by our mall, right here in this part of our community. My next slide will show you an aerial photo where the paper is patched is the 4 lots that are being considered this evening. These have already been platted. My next slide shows you that the developer, right here is what's being platted this evening, has already extended the water line all the way over to Mill Run. So that infrastructure is in place. The road is paved to right where my pointer is, just west of the last lot. That's another infrastructure that's in. The last piece that the developer will do is extend sanitary sewer right here where the cursor is to this line right here. And my last slide is there's the survey. Planning Commission looked at it. Its recommendation to you is to approve as well as staff. I'll answer any questions.
Move to approve.
Second. Motion by Ben, a second by Ron. Further discussion? Please cast your vote. Motion carries 6-0. Item 8, administration. We have pulled item 8.1. Item 8.2, consider and approve an emergency resolution authorizing the calling and holding of a special election on November the 12th, 2013, for the purpose of submitting to the registered qualified electors in the city the question of amending the city charter to provide for collective bargaining by certain municipal employees.
Mayor.
Andrea?
Mayor, Commissioner. This is a resolution that would call an election to be held on November 12th. The AFSCME leadership submitted an initiative petition to the city. That initiative petition was deemed sufficient under the law, and by law at this time, the commission has to call an election so that the charter can either be amended or not. The voters of the city of Enid have to decide. So there's an emergency resolution here that that authorizes the calling of the election, and then the proclamation of election is also attached.
I move we call an election.
Second. Motion by Ben, a second by Ron. Further discussion? David?
What about this as an emergency, Andrea? Why?
Because we have to get it to the election board within 60 days of the election. It's required by law.
Can it not just wait till next year then? That this is not something that is, or the definition of an emergency as I read the charter.
I would tend to agree with you, but the AFSCME leadership has complied with everything they're required to by state law. And should the
Well,
commission...
we have to comply with the charter, and the charter does not define this as an emergency issue that needs to be voted on as emergency to implement immediately. So what about this qualifies as an emergency?
Other than time restraints, there is nothing.
Okay. And second question I have is just maybe a rhetorical question. If this is required by state law, why is it on the agenda?
Because the only person that can call an election, well, the commission authorizes the mayor to call an election. But
So if we all vote no, what happens?
the city would be sued.
I-
Most certainly. I mean...
Seems pretty
I don't-
silly to put an issue on the agenda that requires commission approval when it is something that is defined by state law.
I agree.
I think that's just kind of how it legally has to work.
Well, no, it doesn't have to work. That's the silliest thing I've heard of today, so.
That's the way the law works sometimes.
Law doesn't always make sense.
I didn't hear your answer to the question.
I told Commissioner Van Hooser that I agree, it's just, that's what the law says that we have to do. So we follow the procedure that is given to us under the statutes. Sometimes they make sense, sometimes they don't.
The easiest way for me to understand this is that consider yourselves an instrument of state law separate from your responsibilities as city council. You, this instrument, are the only body empowered to call the election. You enable the mayor to do so. That is a separate responsibility from your role and even our stance as public officials. The only way that we can be in accordance with state law is for this body to call an election. That's the only way. If you keep those items separate, that's the only way you can really get your head around it. At least I do.
And your recommendation?
My recommendation is to approve the approve the resolution with emergency.
Any further discussion? We have a motion and a second. Please cast your vote.
Move. Go ahead.
Motion carries 4-2.
Boy, this is going to be interesting. I move for an emergency. Do we need to move for an emergency?
Yes.
Second.
Now, and real quick, an emergency has to pass with 5 votes, is that correct? Let's get this right this time, this go around. Oh, boy. Okay. I move, we vote with an emergency. I guess we already did that. Motion second.
Now, do we need to vote on the emergency?
Mr. Mayor, may I? Commissioners, I appeal to your sense of fairness. The question before us is not whether we're going to have an election. It's not whether we have a standing amongst our employees or that they're inhibited from exercising their democratic rights. It would be tremendously small of us not to allow this election to go forth in accordance with the state calendar, which requires us to meet a 60-day deadline. The people will determine whether or not we're going to accept a bargaining unit. Frankly, I don't care if we do or don't. We have a tremendous relationship with our employees, and whether they belong to a bargaining unit makes no difference to me whatsoever. Now, what happens after I'm gone, the leadership there's gone, well, that's up to other speculation. But let's let this process go forward as was determined by state law and even the Constitution. They have the right to do so. Let's avail them to take their question to the people.
I don't think that's the question. The question is it really an emergency situation? That's the question.
Yeah, and I would have voted the other way had I thought, I didn't think that was all combined.
Because the first motion he made was he said with an emergency.
We have to do
The
it
first time.
mechanically. We're obligated to do it. This is
So
again
that's
one of
the
those.
issue, is whether it's an emergency
We
or
are
not.
not
Whether they
obligated to have
not
it.
have the election or not, it's not the issue.
Then we're all right then, aren't we? I think we're all, okay, I see your point now. I misunderstood you.
Well, except that mechanically, we do it in two parts, correct?
Right.
We have to do it in two parts.
And
So having the election has passed, because that
Right.
was,
Yes.
that won 4-2.
Yes.
The
That's fine.
question is the emergency.
Yes.
But if we don't pass the emergency, they can't have the election.
Sure they
well,
can.
they
Next
can't.
They
It
can
just
just
gets
have it
kicked
later.
around till. I mean, there are by state law 6 opportunities for elections in a given calendar year. The next date after November will be February. Is it second Tuesday in February?
Second Tuesday.
I can't remember the date, but
It-
Okay.
It costs us nothing to allow this action to go forward. Pass it, allow this effort to go forward in the time frame they desire.
there's motion and a second for the emergency. I moved. Ron seconded. Correct?
I did.
We have a motion and a second. Further discussion. Please cast your vote. Motion carries 4-2, which means it
It says so 5.
requires 5 votes for the emergency.
We did not
Sorry,
receive the
guys.
5 affirmative.
Next.
Item 9, consent items.
We skip 8.3?
Oh, 8.3.
trails.
8.3.
His favorite too.
Skip 8.3, sure.
We have to do.
My error. Item 8.3, discuss and consider priority options for the pedestrian trail project. Chris?
Thank you very much. Good evening. Once again, we're here to discuss the trail work that we're doing in this current fiscal year and some of the thing that's going to lead us off to what we do next year. We can call this Phase 5. First on our list is, of course, the signal light at Van Hooser, or not Van Hooser.
You can put a stoplight right here?
My apologies, sir.
Push the button.
Chris, don't give him ideas about changing road names.
You do not get to push the button if you put a stoplight.
My apologies. Obviously, we heard what you said. We're looking into taking the trail from France to downtown. And at this point, we define downtown getting across 412.
Close enough.
Okay. Extend the trail south of Roop into Meadow Lake, and then the Oakwood to Garland section. From last time, this is what we've done so far. This is the site map, the location map that gives you a general location of those things that we are doing. Once again, to review, this is Oakwood to Garland. This is a 1-mile section. This is Roop into the Meadow Lake. Here's the stop sign, stopping, or not stoplights, but the traffic lights and warning lights, and then this is downtown. We took a look at this after the last meeting, and we believe that this is one of our better options for a route. Come from France, which is right here. This is the football field. Come up Independence to here, come over to Grand, and straight across. In Phase 5, this is what we've got for cost estimates and what we're planning for. For the crossing lights, it's $13K for design, $90K for construction if we have to go to the top end lights, which are red traffic control lights, pedestrian activated, if they require a
Correct me
warrant.
if I'm wrong, does that not, we're presuming ODOT approval?
That presumes that ODOT, that our study says that this location, this crossing warrants having that kind of control.
And we
That
have no
study-
control over that.
Excuse me?
We don't control that, that's an ODOT decision.
Correct. We do not control that. The study is in progress.
We need to go walk back and forth. Yes.
It is what it is.
It is what it is.
So what we're talking about then would be a button up that would change the light red so they could cross,
Correct.
pedestrians could cross.
And the current plan is to install some flashing yellow warning lights to hopefully bring a little more attention to the fact that there's a crossing there until this one gets done, and then decide from there.
Okay. Taking the trail downtown, we have determined what we believe to be the most feasible route. We are in the process of developing the planning and the investigation that's going to be necessary to support budget submittals for the next year. The point I'm saying is, right now, we do not have any information to base numbers on. We don't have enough information there. We have a lot of work to do. We have some people to talk to. We need to do some investigating. But we are proceeding with it. Okay? Extend the trail south of Roop into Meadow Lake. Construction estimate for that is $380. And we're estimating Oakwood to Garland, $50 for design, $900 for construction, which is pretty much in line with what we've seen in the past.
Do we own the right-of-way?
There, we have half of it. We're in negotiations for the other half.
Okay.
This is the schedule. I believe you got this in PDF, so it'll be a little easier for you to read. Here we are on the crossing line. The study has begun, and that's part of the design function. Here's where we'll start working finalizing the bidding documents for the trail south of Roop. We are in the process of working the right-of-way acquisitions here, and we've done some pre-design work at a meeting, and we're starting our A&E selection. And that basically means we're starting the selection process of determining who would be the best architect engineer to do the design work for us. If that one works like we believe it will, we expect to have construction out here in late May, begin construction. Now, there's a lot that can impact that, and just because we start construction doesn't mean we finish construction. It'll take a while to do it.
Chris, that's nice to see in part because that doesn't eat up our entire $2 million budget this
That is
year
correct.
just getting out to Garland, which rankled me a bit. I understand the feasibility of getting to downtown is rough, and I am heartened that folks are going to be working very, very hard on that very difficult problem. I've been assured by everyone, and I hope that's true. The one other piece of this that I think we should be considering is trying to get a connection actually physically to the mall.
That's my next question.
Yeah, we're so close to the mall at the end there at Oakwood, and if we are doing design work from Oakwood to Garland, I'd like to see an option, and I'd like you to explore as part of that project doing a spur north to the mall. I mean, either along Oakwood or on the other side of the drainage ditch in Oakwood with the right-of-way acquisition, or at some point. I'd like to see that as part of this project. We have the money in the budget to at least look at it. And if that could be wrapped up in that contract, I'd like to see at least an attempt made in that direction.
I think, Commissioner, we're way ahead of you, which is a very good thing. We anticipate the same desire. We don't
Look
want
on
to trail
Chris's
it nowhere.
face is a little bit less optimistic.
Well, but he's just ugly like that. That's just the way it is.
You have to
I
understand.
am the handsome man in this crew.
Always in control.
I think that's a good point, but I think we have a dead end at Garland also. It's either going to be a starting point or a turnaround point.
Yeah.
Well,
That-
we've got all this development at the mall and all the new.
Yeah.
It just makes sense.
Well, and we're so close. I mean, it's a
We're
low-hanging
going to do
fruit.
it. We'll make you happy. We're going to do it. We can only promise you what we're authorized to do in the budget this year. But we will make those plans. We will cap those. We know what you want to do. We're with you.
All right, I just didn't see getting to the mall as part of any of that.
Well, that was
Well,
one
that's
that
correct, because that is not in this year's budget cycle, and we can only do what you authorized us in the budget. But we have contingencies as this matures to devote those excess funds, if they exist, to that end. We know where this needs to go, just like you. We're going to make you happy.
Do we have any money to do land acquisition on the downtown leg? I mean,
Not in this
hate to
year's
see us-
budget.
I hate to see us wait a year, before we start acquiring some of that property there. I mean, this thing's going to string out to where
Wait, we've
we're all
got
gonna
$2
be in the
million.
ground.
I
We
think-
got $2 million in the budget this year for trails. I counted between Garland, the Van Buren crossing, and, yeah, I counted $1.5 million. I think there's $500,000 for property acquisition.
Well, let's find out what the bids come back at. I mean, we have, these are estimates.
Sure.
And we have options at both ends of this trail. The acquisition of property can be achieved in three different ways. One, we can acquire it by existing savings if we produce them. We can have a budget amendment that you can authorize additional funds for us to pursue those. But let's find out what we can buy and what it costs before we commit to doing a particular action. We have opened discussions with the homeowners, but there's nothing on the table yet. Give us a chance for that plan to mature. We'll have a better idea for you in a few months.
If I may, I believe the priority is France to downtown.
Agree.
Execute,
That's not a.
We have not agreed.
Nobody's.
You know, we keep dancing around that.
That's choice number 3, in my opinion.
I mean, do we need,
Third priority, but we can get them all 3 done, I think.
I want to get them all three
The
done.
$2
I
million,
just-
I don't see why we can't. And I'm going to be really disappointed if you can't get that bid in for Oakwood to Garland on a straight, flat piece of land. We're not building the interstate highway, which I consider to be $1 million a mile, 10-foot concrete trail. Surely there's a builder around here that will do that stretch for about $500,000.
But we'll show you, Dr. V, when that time comes, we'll bring those bids to you, but we don't control them, you know that. We'll see what they come. Our estimates are grounded in experience and construction factors and our own.
We own the land already, and it's going to be $900,000 to put a mile down,
Half
a
of it.
10-foot
we
wide.
have, we have half the right-of-way. We also have to keep in consideration that that is a future,
Business.
that is a future location for a regional stormwater retention facility. So we have to take that into account as we do our planning.
Yeah, it would,
And our
we
design.
would feel awfully stupid if we then had to go in 5 years, tear up all that concrete in order to take care of stormwater.
Well, that's not going to happen.
No.
But allow us to do what we propose. We know where you want to go next, and we're going to get there, but let's solve the immediate concerns first. What we want from you tonight is authorization to pursue this proposal. The additional pieces for the trail to downtown and the completion to the mall will come as their turn in the process matures. That will happen, but not in the discussion we're having tonight.
Chris, if you would, explain the crossing lights again, please.
Okay, the crossing lights again. Our current plan is to have Rob help us out here and put flashing warning lights at that crossing. I believe it shouldn't take us much longer to get them here. We're waiting on 2 weeks. That provides the warning immediately to the crossing. We're in the process of doing the study and the design. If the traffic study, both pedestrian and vehicle, warrants through ODOT that we have a traffic control signal there, that's when we'll have to do a little more work.
Similar to the one right here at the corner.
Similar, but probably a lot more
Fire station?
efficient.
What?
Probably a lot more efficient. That one creates a lot of traffic problems, delays.
Well, the warning lights we put on 412, 54th Street,
Very similar.
that's a waste of money. You got people driving 70, you got people driving 45. They're not helping. It's actually made it worse.
Are you talking about 54th or 412? That's a whole nother kettle of fish, Commissioner.
Well, I'm just saying how warning lights, some people obey them, some people don't.
I don't think we have any choice to put the warning lights there.
They have them on a bridge and people hit it anyway, so it's, I don't know that they're very useful. So, but whatever.
I believe that's all I have to present.
You need a motion approving these priorities?
That's what we're looking for, guidance from the council.
That's what the item says.
There's an error in there. I should have had a recommendation of approval.
If we need a motion, do we have a
I'll make a motion to approve the proposal.
motion by Ron?
Not thrilled. I'd like to see a little more work downtown, but I'll second it.
Second by Ben. Further discussion.
Hang on.
There's no action listed on the agenda. You can't take action unless action is
Is on the agenda?
on the agenda.
Oh,
It
there
does,
isn't an
it does say discuss and consider, but there's no recommendation as to what that action might be.
I'll withdraw my motion.
Wait, now, the recommendation, does the recommendation, a stated recommendation, that's a prerequisite for action? I mean, my understanding is
I
the
don't-
recommendation is a staff recommendation, but isn't necessarily a prerequisite.
Council can move action on any item. It doesn't have to be captured in the agenda item saying that it defines that this requires action. The council can move action at any time, can they not?
I agree with that, but you're our attorney, so
No,
tell me I'm wrong.
No, it does say consider, so
Okay.
I'm okay with the word consider, but it doesn't say discuss and take action, so that's my concern. There was no action listed, but it does say consider.
What if we made the motion to adopt the recommendation?
I like that one.
Or wait 2 weeks, less than 2 weeks, 12 days.
The recommendation that
Or
they
the
made was not
budget, the
applicable.
budget has already been approved, and at this
Sure.
point, really, this is just staff's
You know what we
recommendation as to
want.
what happens.
A week and a half isn't going to make that much
I'd ask
difference.
council to offer a recommendation to accept these, just as Commissioner Jansen said. Let's quit pussyfooting around this and get going on it.
Let's do what's right, too.
I made a motion to adopt the recommendation. We'll see where it goes.
I'll second. Counting on you, Chris.
Got a motion and a second. Further discussion? Please cast your vote. Motion carries 5-1. Under item 9, consent items.
Move to approve?
Second.
What is that? Oh, that's, okay. Motion by Ben, a second by Ron. Please cast your vote. Motion carries 6-0. Item 10, we will now recess to convene as the Enid Municipal Authority. All trustees of the Enid Municipal Authority are present at the regular meeting except for Mike Stuber, who is absent. Item 12.1, approval of claims in the amount of $1,271,829.70.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Ron,
Second?
second by Ben. Further discussion? Please cast your vote. Motion carries 6-0. We will now adjourn to convene as the Enid Economic Development Authority. All of the trustees of the Enid Economic Development Authority are present, except for Mike Stuber, who is absent. Item 15, 15.1, approval of claims in the amount of $6,000.
Move to approve?
We have a motion by Ben,
Second.
second by Tammy. Please cast your ballot. Your vote. Motion carries 6-0. We'll now adjourn to reconvene as the Enid City Commission. Under item 17, public discussion, we have 3 people signed up.
As you approach the podium, please state your name and your address. Richard Schultz.
I'm Richard Schultz. I live at 4520 North 16th. I'm here in concern of the road on 16th between Breckenridge Road and Phillips Road. It's under construction, I consider now. They cleaned out the ditches, put a good base down, shell, and then they've got this rock. It's as big as this, or there's real fine dust that is affecting my family's health. The trees around there are just covered with dust. You can't be outside. I consider it a project that's not complete. The street is half North Enid and half Enid. I know North Enid has the money to do it, but I don't understand everything. But Enid has to have a part of it, I believe. But it's not a complete project, and I'd just like to see it complete. And I'd like to see a rush on it. My main reason I'm here tonight is just to ask you what you plan to do.
Thank you.
Mr. Schultz, I think I've got some good news for you. We've been applying a product on Phillips Road that shows great promise for dust control. And we are teaming with the city of North Enid, and I applaud the mayor and the council of North Enid for their efforts at cooperation. It's a wonderful team partnership that we have. we're gonna examine that application for not only 16th Route, but several other roads within the city. We're gonna put some stuff down to control the dust on your road, and we're gonna share the cost with the city of North Enid.
What kind of stuff? I've heard there's some temporary stuff.
Why don't we meet afterwards, Ms. Schultz? This is not a dialogue. Why don't we meet afterwards, and I'll be happy to answer all your questions.
Next.
Trish Newberry?
About the same problem. I asked Rodney Tim to please go out and drive our road. Did you do that, sir? And what was your opinion?
At 30 miles an hour, it wasn't too bad.
I drive 5 miles an hour because I'm afraid that I'm going to blow a tire because of all the rock in the road. The city of North Enid said that they would chip and seal the road, and that if Enid would go in half on this, that they would be more than happy. They said they've already have the material bought and paid for. I mean, they have the money there to pay for the material if the city of Enid would go in half with them. I tried to call the North Enid city mayor the last 2 nights. I left my name, my number, and I have not heard one word from him. I asked him to please call me to let me know what was being discussed on this. My husband is a road foreman for Garfield County. He used to be for out of Garber, but he's now out of Douglas District, so he's not over that area at all. But the county would do the work on it. And it isn't just the dust, it's also the washboardiness. You can't drive down the road. We have all of the oil and gas people. They're running up and down that road 50 and 60 miles an hour, and that dust is just unbelievable. I mean, if you would come out there and you know the wind, I live on the Enid side, and the wind, it seems like it's always either out of the southwest or the northwest. So we get that dust all the time. We cannot even sit out on our deck in the back. The dust out there on my table is so thick that you have to go out and hose it down before you can even go out there to sit, to do anything. We have not used our deck once this entire summer. And I think it would be a great opportunity if the city of North Enid is willing to go half on this, that the city of Enid could come up with half to go the other, to do their side. And, you're talking about dust control. My husband says that they have used that kind of stuff before, and he said it's temporary, it's like a Band-Aid. And this material for the chip and seal, I got all this from him. It has to be done before the weather turns cold. We went to the city of North Enid's meeting last fall, and they promised us they would have this fixed this summer. Well, the weather is kind of changing now in case, and it's getting cooler. He said it really shouldn't be below 60 at night to do this. And he's estimating about $45,000 to $50,000 for 1 mile to do this chip and seal. And what you do, for those of you that don't know, and I don't really know either except what he told me, he said they need to come out and remove the big rock, and they need to smooth it up, and then they need to, I believe, bring in more screenings, and they need to shoot oil on it, and then they do 2 layers after that. They do 5/8 gravel on top, another layer of oil, and then they do 3/8 inch chips, he told me. He said if they get their material from DeLisi here in town, it'd probably take about 2 days to do part of it, to put the screenings on, I believe. He said, stay with me here. He said it would probably take about 6 to 7 days total, working days, to finish the project. And I just feel like you guys should consider this. I mean, I have lived out there now for 26 years. That road has never been taken care of properly. There have been times out there when we have almost high-centered to go down it. North Enid came in and thought that the rock would be a great thing, and it's turned out to be a total nightmare. Doopies down the road that live down there, they have horses. They just had a $1,000 vet bill, they told me the other night. I've been around and talked to all the neighbors. Everybody is totally unhappy with it. And I just wanted you guys to consider that, but we're kind of running out of time here because we're into September now. They promised us that we would have this taken care of this summer. And has Mr. Miller, has he indicated to you, Mr. Benson, that, or maybe I'm not supposed to ask, but has he indicated to you?
I'll be happy to chat with you, Ms. Nelson, after the meeting.
After the meeting? Okay.
Thank you.
So I guess that's all I have to say, but I wish you would really consider it, instead of just a Band-Aid that's only going to work for maybe a week or a few days. Because when it rains, yeah, you can be outside for just a little bit, but within 24 hours, we have dust back. And it's not just a little bit of dust. It is a fog. Thank you.
Thank you. Another one.
Robert Rhodes.
Robert Rhodes. I live at the corner of Phillips Road and 16th, and I'm here mostly just to support Newberry's and Richard Schultz. The road is extremely dusty, and I know there's a lot of things that I have to go through to do this road with North Enid. And I just thank you for already working on it, and would ask that you continue working with North Enid to resolve this problem.
Thank you.
Peggy Rhodes.
I'm just here to support everyone, and if you would please consider this. Living in the country is wonderful, except for this dust. If you could possibly get this fixed for us. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion by Ron,
Second.
second by Tammy. Please cast your vote. Motion carries 6-0. We are adjourned.